Hey guys, welcome back to another layout update. So, it has been about 2 years since I've done my last layout update. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, because I didn't really have time to fit in a layout update between um, life and working on the layout, as well as a lot of the stuff that I've done, a lot of other people have shown in the past, and I just didn't really feel like going over it. So at this stage in the layout, there's not a lot of progression. As you can tell, it's like one bit of track isn't fully secured as I'm currently working on it. Just the other day, I finally got the hole cut for this industry here, which is a bulk transfer unloading, and I kind of had to cut a hole in the layout for it. Not the prettiest thing, but also for it to work with the track I have, I had to raise it up the height of the cork. So now it is where it should be, and I have yet to actually secure the track in because I have to figure out the best way to put this in. But as you can tell, I have another tank car or sort industry here. I've got some additional buildings that are go with this one here. I have the new Walther's Modern Yard office that I'm currently working on. That's going to go for this industry. This one has its own, as well as office checkpoint building off to the right here, and as well as a loading dock that can be multi-purpose to put a box car to the side or a flat car, and off you go. So all of the track work, as I was saying, is pretty much done except for what I just showed you. Trying out some new techniques, some new um, methods of installing it. A lot of the track on the main line, which is all out here, was installed and put down with cork, but it was put down with PL 900 or PL Premium, one of the two. And it's worked out really well on the main line, but for whatever reason, when I did it in the yard, something went wrong and caused all the track to buckle and come apart because I just glued it, and for whatever reason, it decided to come apart. So the whole yard got taken out and redone. The yard is actually done in code 70. That wasn't intentional. I went to a flea market and I wasn't quite paying attention to the gauge of track I was buying. I was just happy to see a Pico turnout for $5 each. So I bought all of them. And it was like all of like 9 or 10 turnouts. So wasn't too complaining about that. But once I got home and realized what I had, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to work with it. So I did. And I found out that Micro Engineering made Code 70 Flex Track. So I got that, and I was actually able to extend the yard when I redid it. Not a whole lot, but it was able to take an additional 6 cars, so I see that as a win. Trying some new techniques here, where, as you can tell on the track here, I've actually got a lot of grass tusks growing up through the track, and then up here I've sort of tinkered around with ballasting. It's not glued down, so that's why you're seeing some ballast on the track, on the ties itself. But I find from an eye level, it actually looks really good. And of course, it goes out of focus. But yeah, I find that it looks really good and really realistic, especially because the micro engineering track I've used is actually weathered. So the only other thing I intend to do differently on this yard track, and I'm going to do that to all of these, is joint bars to give it that little bit of extra realism on top of using static grass, which I've sort of started experimenting. Like I used it here, and anybody will tell you that did not turn out really well at all. But as I went on, I did this area before I did anywhere else. I just did it over here just to see what kind of results and how to do it the best. But over here, I actually got much better results, as you can tell. I mean, I got to vacuum up the excess in some areas, but turned out really well. And also, sorry for stuff sort of just laying around. I recently went through and did some wiring upgrades on this. So rather than feeding wires through the middle here, I've decided to start doing them from the side of each turnout. Some of these solder joints are not the prettiest, but I plan to go through and just tidy those up later. And there's a better example for you. So it looks much better. I can actually get the ties underneath the track where they're supposed to be, just like it is over here. But for the most part, I mean, it's a little dirty right now, but sorry, a little disorganized, but it won't be in future updates. And just coming along here, I'll show you the rest of the layout. This is a lumber yard up on the side here, as well as got a little runaround track in the front here. So when they come out of the yard, they can run around and push the cars into these two tracks and then run back around, build the train, and head back to the yard. Other than that, all the Pico switch stands are all operational. If you've never seen these before, they're actually really cool. And they're animated. So, and I think I have them set right. So if I throw this, it should go back to normal. And they flip almost a whole 90 degrees if you install them correctly. And the advantage with the Pico ones is that they have a massive wiring harness. Sorry for the spaghetti wire, but right here is one of the harnesses for the switch stands. Very plug and play. And you can actually power the frogs with these, power some LEDs, as well as its own power. So it's all plug and play. It's all fairly laid out, and I plan to install more of these as I go, because as you can tell, I have a lot more space on this control panel than I intended. So I'm gonna actually install more of these. They're actually really cool. So they're a little pricey, but definitely worth it, especially for the animated throws. But other than that, I've got a few new locomotives. Some have come and gone. This is where I keep the majority of them. One thing I am glad that I got is I finally got an Illinois Central SD70. Those are incredibly hard to find. Well, they were, not so much anymore. But I got a really good deal on that, so I wasn't going to pass it up. As well as, I'll just sort of pan over here, and you can sort of see what I've got. And I'll do a roster update in my next video, but that's just where I keep the majority of my locomotives. Got a couple in here. There's a Tier 4 from Intermountain, and a couple engines I'm working on. And that's not going to stay like that. That's going to get stripped down and repainted into CM. Some more freight cars. These are all just the ones that I'm currently using, or that are in storage till I get them painted. And also here are all of my coal cars, sorry. Excluding the Canadian Pacific ones, as well as a couple others. But that is pretty much it for this layout update. I'll sort of get into it a little more in the future. I've got some other things I'm going to do. But also, one other massive improvement from my last layout updates and my last layout is vastly improved lighting. So now I actually, well, I'll turn off the lights here because the lights are tied into the layout itself, is this. So this was what the lighting was up until about a month ago. And then I finally broke down, I shouldn't say broke down, work had a really good deal on some LED light. There are, sorry for the poor wiring, but I'm going to tidy it up soon. But these are plug and play LED fluorescent style lights. And I got one there, and a different style here. And long story short, the reason this one is different was because I couldn't find the other two that I just showed you. They were a one-time buy, and then I bought two more when two more got returned to work. They work fine, so I've got these three up now, and then another one is going to get installed up here, and once I tidy up the wiring. But as you can tell, lighting on the layout is vastly improved, and that was one of the things I really wanted to do on this layout update, to make it really photogenic, and so I can do some really cool stuff. But I will leave it at it for now, and I'll show you some of the projects I've got going on soon, and I hope to see you then. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later.